Okay, first live stream ever. I guess I'm live now. You'll have to bear with me, guys, if you're tuning in. I've not done one of these before, so might be a little bit rocky, but I will try to do my best. Let's see, if you're here, let me know in the chat so I can. You'll have to bear with me, guys, if you're. Okay, and again, this might be a little bit choppy. I've never done one of these before. Okay, set is for real. Hi. Welcome to the live stream. Hey, Rob F., you're from Florida. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining me for this live stream. Lots of stuff we can talk about today in regards to silver. And again, this is my first time doing this, so I'm just trying to really figure out the technical side of stuff. But here, let me go ahead and pull up a browser so we can see what's going on with the price of silver today. Had kind of a spike up, got over 23 bucks, but you can see kind of got smacked back down as soon as that happened. Silver's a pretty volatile metal, you know. If you want to refer to me as Matt, if that's easier, you can. Okay, Matt, I will do my best. Again, I'm kind of getting used to keeping an eye on this chat and talking live. Usually in my videos, I have to edit out lots of ums and ahs, and I don't know, sometimes I choose the wrong word, so being live, I don't know. I'm gonna have to pay a little bit more attention to that, I guess, or just get over it and not worry about it too much. Um, so what's going on, guys? You stacking silver today? I'm usually in the mood to stack some silver. I think we've got some pretty good opportunities at these low prices. In the $22 range. Silver seems like it's kind of a steal. But of course, we can't pick up silver for 22.75 because this is just the paper spot price from the futures market. We know that physical bullion is costing a little bit more than that these days. Let's see, Brad B is from Philly Burbs. All right, Brad, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this. I did a video about it a couple days ago, well, maybe a couple weeks ago now, about the potential shortage in junk silver. Looks like it's kind of ongoing. I know that junk is available out there, and I had some people mentioning in the comments on that video that they had no problem getting junk silver at their local coin shops. But shopping around at the online dealers seems like there is still a little bit of a shortage ongoing. This is the SD Bullion page. You can see a lot of their top SKUs here are sold out. Got to go down quite a bit to find anything that's actually in stock. Got these 90% silver mercury dimes. They're extra fine, so these are a little bit more on the numismatic side. And you can see they're selling for quite a high premium to spot. And then you finally get into some stuff that's in stock down here. And the cheapest stuff on their 90% selection, well, okay, they've got some half dollars for $22.76 per face value. So that's still kind of high, with the spot price being at $22.85. But most of their SKUs you can see are selling for quite a bit more than that, and it's mostly the higher end kind of numismatic stuff that's available. Matt says, today is payday. I'm definitely stacking. Yeah, man, pay yourself first. That's definitely the way to do it. It's like in that book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It says take part of your paycheck and invest in yourself first, or invest in some assets before you go and pay your bills and buy food and clothing and all that stuff. Just invest a portion of your paycheck first. I think that's definitely a good idea, and never a bad idea to put some of that money into silver, into real money. I'm waiting on 3 werewolf 2-ounce hand poured due tomorrow. Oh yeah, what mint are those from, Rob? That sounds cool. I like werewolf stuff. I don't think I have any werewolf themed silver, but I've talked in the past about how silver and werewolves are sort of interrelated in terms of the mythos surrounding werewolves and how they're predators that you know prey on people by night. They use subterfuge and darkness as their disguise, and how silver is a guard against those. And I think that's sort of analogous to how silver can protect us against financial predators, because people know that silver is money. So I think that that's sort of rooted in our collective unconscious. Anyway, so yeah, 90% silver in short supply here at SD Bullion. Now, if we go over to JM Bullion, this is all of their 90% silver. And hey, you guys, while you're watching, I've got two people in the live stream, so thank you very much to Matt and Rob, because otherwise I'd be sitting here talking to myself. Uh, can you guys hear me okay? I'm using a Bluetooth headset, and I don't know what the sound quality really sounds like. A lot of times when I record my videos, I use either my phone or I have a dedicated microphone, but it's kind of clunky, so I'm just wearing a headset today. I don't know what the audio quality is going to be like. But if we go over to JM Bullion here, you can see this is all their 90% silver. And they actually have nothing in stock right now. They are completely sold out. You can see every SKU. They don't even have any like high quality numismatic looking stuff left. It's all sold out. They don't have a single piece of junk silver in stock. So it's not like it's completely gone. You can still buy junk silver. I get it. But I think that when you start seeing the online dealers have these repeated shortages. Hey, Mill Stacks, thanks for joining, man. Ah, that's great. Good to hear that my sound quality is still doing well. Hey, Mill Stacks, I was inspired by your live streams to start doing my own. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you dropping into the video here. Maybe we can get together and do a live stream together at some point. Maybe we can Skype into each other's callers. I mean, that would be kind of fun, I think. Um, might be more fun than just talking to ourselves and the chat. I mean, I love the chat, but text only goes so far. Voice communication has a lot to be said for it, communicating in real time. Mill, I know you've mentioned in the past that your local coin shop has junk silver available, but what do you think about these shortages at JM Bullion? Oh, they were putting 2 week deliveries at my local bullion dealer now. So what do you mean? They're saying that they're out of stock for 2 weeks? They're 2 week out from deliveries, or do they still have some stuff in stock? Because I think what might be going on here is that the local coin shops, I put that video out maybe a week or two ago about shortage in junk silver, and a lot of people were saying in the comments section that their dealers still had inventory available and even available at a low premium. And I think that what might be going on there is that the online dealers, sell out first because they're dealing with the broadest base of customers, whereas local coin shops are only selling to people in their local area, and so their stock might have lasted a little bit longer. And I think sometimes the local coin shops buy large quantities of junk silver to sell to their customers. They'll buy something like one of these bags, like $100 face value or even $1,000 face value bag, and then they'll kind of distribute that out. So I think that what might have happened is that it took a little while for the price spikes to catch up to the local coin shops because they had to sell through their existing inventory. But then as they begin to get their new inventory in, or they struggle to get their new inventory in, the premiums may go up at the local coin shops as well. And if you can still find junk silver at a low premium at your local coin shop, you might want to take advantage of that. I just bought something off JM Bullion, got a 1/4 ounce gold rooster coin for 471. They have maples, but not much else in junk. Starting to run out here. Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool, man. A 1/4 ounce Australian gold rooster coin. I like all those Australian coins, either the Royal Mint or the Perth Mint. They make really nice coins. You know, I do like gold. I like to stack gold just as much as the next guy. I have a couple of gold coins. I have all fractional gold though. I've tried to over the years when I see like a 1/10 or 1/4 ounce gold bullion coin and it's on sale. Sometimes you'll find those deals where they'll be closer to spot and the premiums aren't so high. I snatch those up. I don't own any 1 ounce gold coins. Kind of wish I did. I guess those are a cool thing to own, but I just don't. I only own fractional gold. And I also have some gold jewelry. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Mene.com, but this is a website that sells 24 karat gold jewelry. Um, and I almost kind of like gold jewelry more than I like gold coins. And I'll tell you why. You do pay a much higher premium, of course, on the jewelry. Although this site's cool. I mean, they give you really transparent pricing. Like for example, if you pull up one of these bands, so they tell you exactly how much the gold value is, and then exactly how much their fee is, and it kind of updates with the spot price of the metal. But I like gold jewelry because it allows you to take advantage of one of gold's most important attributes, and that is that you can fit a lot of value into a small space. So with something like a ring, you can slide that on your finger and boom, you've got almost $500 worth of gold. You try doing that with silver, you're going to be lugging around a backpack full of metal, I guess. Um, so yeah, I like gold jewelry. I do like gold coins, of course, too. I mean, I'm a stacker at heart, so I like kind of any kind of gold. But I think gold 24 karat jewelry, or I did a video a while ago on the Thai baht. That's like a traditional form of gold jewelry that they sell in Thailand. And I have a necklace that my grandfather picked up over in Thailand, like in the 70s, and it's 22 karat gold. I think I did a video about that a while ago. But yeah, anyway, gold jewelry I think is really great. So I'm just kind of rambling. I don't know. You guys in the chat, let me know if there's anything you want to talk about specifically. We got a lot of stuff going on in current events and the world. We can take a look back at some news if you want. We got the debt ceiling approved, raising the debt ceiling. So they've extended that, potential disaster out until December, and kicked the can down the road a little bit. I find jewelry is not bad as long as it's 18 karat or higher purity. I find that's Millstacks. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Hey, HVAC Residential Basics, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you watching. So the Senate managed to approve this bill to raise the debt ceiling and avert default for now. Basically, they kicked the can down the road a little bit longer, but I don't think that this is going to really address any of our structural problems. No, I don't think it is. It definitely isn't. Um, just raising the debt ceiling for another couple months doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot to get us out of this problem that we are experiencing with debt and deficits and debt monetization by the Fed. Um, but that's just kind of the monetary system that we live in these days. Let's take a look. I don't know if you guys saw any of this congressional testimony, but this was kind of an interesting question that was posed in this congressional testimony where Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell were testifying. I think you guys can hear the desktop audio. Let me know in the comments if you can't hear this, but I'm going to let this play. Listen to the question that's being asked and then see how she responds.
It's political suicide. I am a co-sponsor and supporter of my friend Mr. Foster's bill, H.R. 3305, to end the Default Act and take that tool away from Congress, because Congress has proven that we cannot be trusted with that responsibility. Secretary Yellen, without getting into the specifics of Mr. Foster's bill, would you support simply eliminating the debt ceiling so that we don't have to deal with this in the future and can focus on real crises?
Yes, I would, because I believe when Congress legislates expenditures and puts in place tax policy that determines taxes, those are the crucial decisions Congress is making. And if to finance those spending and tax decisions, it's necessary to issue additional debt, I believe it's very destructive to put the president and myself, the Treasury Secretary, in a situation where we might be unable to pay the bills that result from those past decisions.
So yeah, Janet Yellen basically is interested in abolishing the debt ceiling entirely, and that I guess would stop these political grandstanding incidents that we get every time the debt ceiling is up for renewal. I do find it interesting that the Republicans are so opposed to raising the debt ceiling nowadays, but when their party was in control of the White House, they seem to have no problem with it at all. So I think it shows that Republicans don't really care about any kind of financial conservatism and that they're just playing politics with this thing. It would be refreshing if we could see them get on board for reducing spending and not running up these gargantuan debts when Republicans are in office. That would be refreshing, but I don't know if we're ever going to see that. The $600 withdrawal tax, HVAC Residential Basics, the $600 withdrawal tax. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much a withdrawal tax. They do they do plan on tracking every transaction that's higher than $600. So basically, anytime you move around money in increments of $600 or more, your bank or financial institution or whatever is supposed to report that specific transaction to the IRS. Seems like that's going to be a nightmare to implement. That's going to put a tremendous reporting requirement on the banks, and that's one thing that people aren't talking about. I mean, forget the civil liberties and the loss of privacy and all that stuff. Sure, that's obviously the real problem, but just from a fundamental implementation standpoint, it's going to be very expensive for the banks to track all those transactions and report them to the IRS. And I don't know the specifics on how exactly that's supposed to happen, if it's going to be like quarterly or yearly or whatever, but they're just going to have a whole compliance staff. And one thing that will do is just drive up the cost of banking dramatically for everybody, especially probably, if you've got like a free checking account now, the bank probably doesn't make a ton of money off of you because, interest rates are nothing, and you're probably not paying any fees if you have a fee-free checking account. They might have to do away with some stuff like that just to help cover the cost of implementing all of this tracking and regulation. So yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of them tracking $600 transactions, but I don't see any reason why they won't be able to get that through. It seems like people on both sides of the aisle are pretty much in favor of authoritarianism and tracking. Uh, you hear Republicans sometimes push back against stuff like that, but then they're in favor of stuff like the Patriot Act. So they don't care about being invasive. They just want to politically grandstand and try to look good for their constituents. So nobody's out there really trying to get the IRS like out of your business or anything like that. And I think at this point you just got to make sure you're paying your taxes, get a good accountant so that you aren't getting audited later and you don't owe them anything. If anything, overpay them so they just don't come and try to hit you with fees and interest and all that stuff. And it's scary because, if you mess up on your taxes or something, they can come and they have a lot of power to just kind of take your stuff away from you. So anyway, I did think that this clip was interesting though, where Janet Yellen was saying that she's interested in removing the debt ceiling. And you notice there at the very end, she said something along the lines of the United States not being able to pay its bills unless we raise the debt ceiling. And to me, that's kind of an admission that we just can't pay our bills, period. Because if you have to borrow money to pay off your existing creditors, that's like the mark of a Ponzi scheme. So, I don't think that Janet Yellen is under any illusions as to the state of our economy, and she just talks about it so plainly, like, yeah, of course we got to raise the debt ceiling, otherwise there's no way we can pay this debt. And keep in mind that we can't pay our debts even though our interest rates are at these extremely low levels. Sebastian Rosa says so they might as well just borrow and spend themselves into the abyss. Yeah, I think at this point, no amount of austerity and tax hikes could pay off the national debt, especially considering unfunded liabilities. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sebastian. I did a video about unfunded liabilities the other day, and you are absolutely correct. I mean, even if they were to confiscate every bit of wealth from every individual, every billionaire, every rich person, every poor person, if they were to confiscate all of the wealth, every penny via taxation and confiscation, I don't know that they could pay for all this stuff. It's like $157 trillion in unfunded liabilities. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And, there's that clip of Alan Greenspan saying, I'll pull that up. Let me pull that up. There's this clip of Alan Greenspan. Is this the one? Yeah, this is a.
Do you
Here, I'll go ahead and play this for you guys.
still believe that we should maintain the fundamental principles of Social Security as you did in 83?
I think we should maintain the principles of Social Security, but I think the existing structure is not working, and that until we can construct a system which creates the savings that are required to build the real assets so that the retirees have real goods and services, we don't have a system that's working. We have one that basically moves cash around, and we can guarantee cash benefits as far out and at whatever size you like, but we cannot guarantee their purchasing power. And this is why the issue ultimately has got to be resolved in terms of, do we have the material goods and services that people will need to consume, not whether or not we pass some hurdle with respect to how legal financing occurs, because the financing is a secondary issue, and it's the means to create the real wealth, not an end in itself.
Yeah, so Alan Greenspan gets it, I think. Clearly, he's no fool. You know, he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve for a long time. So he knows that there's no way to pay for all the unfunded liabilities and Social Security without printing a bunch of money. And that is how that stuff is going to be funded, guys. Now, don't get me wrong, they probably will try some confiscatory tax plan to cover some of these expenses. But that idea that you can pay for all this massive government spending by just taxing people is ludicrous. You know, people somehow subscribe to this magical belief that a bunch of guys in a room can write some stuff on paper and sign it, and then that somehow will fix problems in the real world. And that's just not how problems get solved. We need to be looking towards the market, and we need to look towards liberty as a solution to our problems, not legislation and control and more fiat pumping. But I think that that's going to make itself clear in the future. People are going to learn the hard way. I see some people are dropping out of the chat here. They're on breaks or they got work calls. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you're still in the chat, let me know. I'm not actually sure how to check how many people are watching the stream at the moment. Like I said, I'm still kind of getting used to this. Oh, let's see. We got Sebastian Rosas. You're still here. Anyway, guys, did you enjoy this live stream? Let me know. I might be doing more of these in the future, I guess. Still kind of getting used to the technical side of it, but this isn't too tricky. Fairly simple. I appreciate you guys, everybody who tuned in and watched. And, leave some comments below if there's anything you guys would like to cover in future live streams. If you enjoyed, oh, Jay Clow, oh, Rob F. Okay, I'll stay on, guys, if you're watching. Got more people than I realized tuned in. So, I don't know, what else we got going on? We got Beijing will have full ability to invade Taiwan in 4 years, island's defense minister says. Have you guys been watching the late just got here? So far, I'll stick around, man. I'm not real, I'm not pressed for time or anything. I just, I don't want to just be sitting here talking to myself. That feels kind of weird. I do like this live stream thing, though, where I can kind of interact with you guys. That's kind of fun. So, yeah, Beijing and Taiwan, China's been flowing their jets into Taiwan's airspace a lot recently. They've been very provocative. And, I wanted to ask if anyone has any suggestions for physical currencies, hold currencies with central banks raising interest rates and hold a lot of gold. Oh, 35 watching. Jeez, it shows me 2, so I don't know what I'm doing. 36 of us watching. Wow, okay, more people than I realized. More people than I realized. Thank you guys all very much for tuning in. That's awesome. That's really great. So this is the Epic Times. Now, this is kind of a right-wing publication, the Epic Times, but they post a lot of stuff about China. But that's good because China really does seem to bully the mainstream media, I think, into making people acknowledge that Taiwan is part of China and all this crazy stuff. But one of the things that really concerns me about this is if the U.S. does get drawn into some kind of conflict, wars are incredibly expensive. They're one of the biggest destroyers of wealth possible. And if we do manage to get drawn into some kind of conflict over there in the South China Sea, our economy is already on thin ice. This is a house of cards, and nothing triggers inflation like war does. If you look at a lot of the hyperinflations throughout the 20th century, a lot of them have followed conflict. Like you look at the Weimar hyperinflation that followed World War I. Let's see. Neil Hahn says China will not attack Taiwan. If they do, they will be fighting Japan, Korea, Australia, America, and India. Do you think China is that stupid? Well, I don't think China is stupid, and that's why I don't necessarily think they're going to invade Taiwan tomorrow. But they also have been investing heavily in their military in the region. And most of those other countries, Japan, Korea, Australia, they're not really going to do much, I don't think, compared to America. Those countries all sort of depend on America's, the aegis of the American military, and they'll basically be fighting America. And you can just imagine how that could evolve into something far, far worse than just a conflict over Taiwan. Like America sends a carrier group over there, blows the hell out of some Chinese troops, and then one of these hypersonic anti-ship missiles sends it to the bottom of the ocean. And now pretty soon you've got this massive conflict. And yeah, exactly. Russia will join China. Mike P says that's definitely true. And the Chinese military is quite powerful regionally. They don't have kind of the force projection that the United States military does, but you got to remember they're operating right off their coast, and we're trying to operate, halfway around the world. So that does make the U.S. military's job of defending Taiwan very difficult. I don't know if you've read about any of the plans that Beijing has for taking over Taiwan. It's quite crazy. They have these massive amphibious landings, and then also they have these plans to drop in commandos and take over the presidential palace and murder the elected officials. It's insane. They have these really detailed plans, and this is really a thorn in the side of the Chinese. The fact that Taiwan has this sort of Western-backed government, as long as one stands up to them, as long as no one stands up to them, they will be that stupid, much like any other aggressive nation in the past, most recently Russia and Ukraine. Japan has one heck of a military. Russia will not help China. LOL. I hear a cat. Please show us. Yeah, there is a cat in the background. That's Pounce, my cat. I understand taxes are never going away, but the elite will never pay real taxes. Yeah, he's going nuts. I don't know what he's up to. He's found a toy, I think, and he's batting it around. Anyway, the joys of live streams, right? You get a little insight into things. Um, Flat tax. Yeah, no, I like the idea of flat taxes, HVAC. I think that we should do away with the income tax personally, and then we could, fund government with something that's much more constitutional, like some kind of a sales tax or something like that. Yeah, I think the income tax is specifically theft more so than other forms of taxation. And with taxes, I think one of the real big problems is that when you tax income, you're disincentivizing productive work. I think that what you should rather disincentivize is consumption because that will lead to more overall wealth. So I think a sales tax or a luxury tax or something like that is a much more equitable, much more fair way to fund government. As far as people paying their fair share, I don't know what someone's fair share necessarily is. Uh, I would say that if you pay into government, you should get something out of it too. And if you're in the middle class, really, you're kind of getting screwed because I can't tell you a whole lot of government benefits that I receive, but I do pay taxes. So I think a lot of countries would want to avoid going to war with China because of economic considerations. Yeah, that's absolutely right. A lot of people get a lot of very important stuff from China. And, if China does somehow successfully take over Taiwan, just from kind of a real politics standpoint, the rest of the world is going to suffer because, there's this, what is it, microchip or semiconductor shortage right now or whatever, and Taiwan makes a lot of that stuff. So if they do somehow manage to take over Taiwan, they're going to control a huge portion of industry that the world depends on. So it will make China that much more powerful. The original income tax was supposed to be temporary. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it was only on like the most rich, and it was what 1% or 2% or something like that, and you had to be a multimillionaire back in the early 20th century. So you had to be really rich to be paying the original income tax. It was sold to the public as a tax on the rich, and it really became a tax on the middle class and the poor. 10% sales tax, 10% sales tax, abolish the IRS, could save a lot of money on retirements and salary. Yeah, just on the labor of all those accountants who have to go through and figure out everybody's tax return. Those guys would be able to devote their time to doing something more productive if we abolished the income tax. So I think that's a great idea. I don't know if we're going to see it in our lifetimes. Um, Howdy, all. Nice to see you've got a live stream going on over my lunch break. Yeah, okay, Christopher, glad I caught you. Micron Technology will move its factories back. Yeah, if they're able to. I mean, I'd imagine they'd have to leave all of their equipment behind on Taiwan if it was captured. I don't think the PRC would just let them take that stuff away. Um, let's see, what else we got here? Taxation is theft, yes. There was something I was going to say about Taiwan. Oh, I know. Yeah, would China be stupid enough to get into an engagement with the U.S. over Taiwan? Well, I mean, the Taliban was basically just able to defeat us in a war in Asia. I know it's not the same thing. Obviously, fighting a guerrilla war against an insurgent force, an indigenous insurgent force in rocky terrain, is a challenging job for any military, and traditionally Afghanistan has been known as the graveyard of empires. But I am just saying that on the heels of a big military loss like that, I mean, a near 20-year occupation of a country, and then we get kicked out and we withdraw in such a sloppy way, it's not sending real strength signals to Taiwan, or rather to China over Taiwan. You know, it's a lot harder to act tough when you just had that whole calamity of pulling out of Afghanistan. So I don't know. I mean, would China be stupid? China is a place that takes the long view. So I mean, they definitely wouldn't engage in a conflict over Taiwan if they thought they would be better served to wait. I will say that they're incredibly patient. The Chinese, they play a long game, like a centuries long game. So I don't think that they would do it out of impatience. But you know, if they thought that they could win, I don't think that they would hesitate to invade Taiwan, and they would be willing to absorb a lot of losses, I think, because this is really a thorn in their side. It's like a national pride kind of thing. I mean, you got to remember the Chinese got divided up by Western colonialism, and there was stuff like the Boxer Rebellion and the Opium Wars and all that stuff. They were really exploited and treated poorly by Western powers, and they don't forget that. They're like this very calm group that's just kind of sit there and they're going to consolidate power and they know what's up. And they don't forget, Japan and the rape of Nanking in World War II, and they don't forget Western colonialism. So don't think that they don't have a little bit of a grudge to pick over stuff like Taiwan. It's like kind of the last remnant of the West on Chinese territorial claim. So that explains why they are so adamant about reclaiming Taiwan. And don't think that they're going to give that plan up anytime soon. Mazda and Toyota has a new factory together in Alabama. I'm a longtime Mazda fan. Love that they are made on American soil. Yeah, man, you get yourself a Toyota. Get yourself a Camry or a Corolla or whatever. You can drive that thing for like 20 years. It's amazing. The Chinese see the mere existence of Taiwan as an extension of the 100 years of humiliation. Yeah, they do. And kind of rightly so. Imagine if the Chinese were like occupying Hawaii or something. I don't know. And I mean, Hawaii is even kind of far from the U.S. mainland. Imagine if they were occupying, some U.S. territory. Americans wouldn't, look kindly on that. And I'm not defending the PRC. I mean, God, the PRC is awful. This crazy authoritarian stuff. But I think it is useful to kind of understand where they're coming from, and just to kind of take an objective view of things. China is destroying us without having to fire a shot so far. Yeah, and it's sad because we're kind of destroying ourselves. I don't think our real war is with China. I think our real war is like with, our decadent society and our sense of entitlement and our addiction to debt and easy money and our addiction to the fruits of other people's labor that we're hooked on because of the world reserve currency status of the dollar. I don't think that China can't destroy us without our help, and we're giving that to them. Let's see, what else did I have? This is pretty much it for today. I didn't really have anything else lined up. If you guys are just tuning in, I was talking earlier about the junk silver shortage. You look at JM Bullion right now, they've got nothing in stock as far as junk silver. I did a video a week or two ago about the potential shortage in junk silver and how premiums are rising and online dealers are running out of stock. Well, that's continuing. And over at SD Bullion, not quite the same thing. I mean, they do have some silver you can buy here, but they don't have any like low premium, just junk silver. Cheapest thing they have here is these U.S. silver half dollars for 22.76 per $1 face value, which is still kind of a high premium. Let's see what else we got in the chat here. God blessed America. He does not do takeaways. LOL. Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. John Sacker, thanks for the thumbs up, buddy. Appreciate you watching. Have you guys seen any of the poll videos that I've been putting out? I think I've done 3 of them so far, where I've been putting these polls out on the Smart Silver Stacker channel. You can find them if you go to this community tab, so Smart Silver Stacker, go to the Smart Silver Stacker page here on YouTube, and then if you click on community, now I'm not logged in so you can't actually see these results, but I've got a couple of polls up here, and I've been doing videos about these. You know, like the video I just put out the other day was, what is your primary motivation for stacking silver? That was the poll, and we have here the answers: as a store of generational wealth, as a hedge against inflation, as a collectible hobby, as a prep for SHTF, or other. Let me know in the comments. We had some unusual comments there on that poll. And then this one I just put out yesterday: if you could stack only one, which would you pick? American Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Morgan Silver Dollars, Mercury Dimes, or Silver Bars. I know that's just kind of a random selection of bullion. This is just kind of a fun one, but if you guys want to vote in this, make sure you go over to the community tab on the Smart Silver Stacker YouTube page, and let me know what you guys think about these polls and the videos about the polls. I don't know, that's kind of a new thing. Neil Hahn says JM Bullion has a good stock of silver. Yeah, good stock of silver, but not junk silver. See, they got nothing. No junk silver at all. I'm sure they have some silver products, but yeah, junk silver is kind of cool in the sense that it's got a very limited supply. They're not making it anymore. They haven't made it in over 50 years, and so you know, anytime anything has a limited supply, if the demand goes up, well, the price has to go up accordingly. So I'm glad I've been stacking junk silver. I'm going to continue if I can find any, especially if I can find some with low premiums. I'll probably still be stacking this stuff up, as I've been saying for years that this stuff is one of the best silver investments just because it has a limited supply, you know? I mean, it's not like the American Silver Eagle. They can't mint more of them. So anytime you get this stuff and you put it in your stack, you're pulling it out of circulation. The supply is shrinking. And so a lot of this stuff has been melted. You know, they minted quite a bit of these coins over the years, but a lot of them have been melted. So no one's quite sure of how much there actually is in the supply. Let's see, Silvara says, went to a coin show a couple of weeks ago and got some junk silver for 17 times face. Wish I had brought some more cash with me. Dang, yeah, I want to go to that coin show. Yeah, I should go to more coin shows. You know, they have some in my area. I haven't been to one since I was a kid. Um, JM hasn't had junk for days now. I grabbed some for 19x face a week ago on another site. Now it's at least 20x or more. Tree Climber says McConnell and 10 Republican senators just joined the Dems to raise the debt ceiling. John Sacker says love the polls. Neil Hunt says vote them out of office. Yeah, we could vote them out of office. Just who do you vote in? You know, there's so few politicians with any integrity these days, and that's not the politicians' fault necessarily. It's more the electorate's fault. We just have a decadent electorate. I mean, how many people do you know that you bump into that understand the national debt or understand sound money? They've really done a good job of not educating people on finance and money and how the banking system works. My pawn shop sells 90% at spot, but you have to buy the whole lot. Yeah, I would love to go buy a whole lot. I wish I had a local coin shop. I don't have one near me. I've got to drive almost 2 hours to get to one, so you know I don't visit them very frequently. I used to live in a place where I had a bunch of them. I've lived in a couple cities where I had some really nice local coin shops, and I used to love just going in and kind of talking with the owners and the guys who worked there. You know, some of them were kind of curmudgeonly, but some of them were really cool. I'd always try to buy stuff when I'd go in too. You know, that makes them a little bit more friendly. Um, I'm heading to a coin show tomorrow, Mike P. Yeah, awesome, man. Grab some junk silver if they have it. Grab some junk silver. What do you guys think? For if you could stack only one, which would you pick? American Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Morgan Silver Dollars, Mercury Dimes, or Silver Bars? Oh, I'd be so torn faced with that question. I think if I could only stack one, like if I had to have a stack composed entirely of only one type of bullion, I'd probably go with Mercury Dimes. I know that is a little odd, but I like the fact that they're fractional. I might go with the American Silver Eagle. They're just so expensive these days. I mean, if you had, you know, a couple $1,000 to put into one of these, you're going to get a lot more silver if you choose anything other than the American Silver Eagle. The premiums are crazy. So, of course, the premiums could always head higher, you know, and that would mean that the American Silver Eagle is a good deal because, hey, even if the price of silver is not going up, if the price of that coin is moving up a lot, then, you know, you're kind of getting a return outside of the silver value. But Mercury Dimes, yeah, those, I mean, they kind of fit all the bills. They're legal tender. They're highly divisible. They're cool coins. They're a different pattern than the Roosevelt dime, so I like that. You can barter with them. the premium on junk silver is probably only going to go higher, so I think you'll do well with those. And of course, guys, none of this is investment advice. I always have to make that disclaimer on these videos, because there's people on the internet who are crazy. My LCS is $2 over spot on 90%. That's not bad. Dimes. Yeah, I'm with you, HVAC. Dimes are the way to go. Silver bars, Neil Hahn says. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have seen my videos, I love silver bars, no doubt. Silver bars are awesome, but I don't know. If you can only have one, I want the divisibility of the dimes and the legal tender. I mostly have silver Britannias now, but still have a lot of ASCs. I need to get some Britannias. People have been leaving a lot of comments on my videos about Britannias. I don't own any. I don't know. I don't know, never got into them. I've got Perth Mint stuff. If you want Commonwealth countries bullion, I've got some maple leaves too. I don't own a single Britannia though. 1, 5, and 10-ounce bars. Yeah, if you just want to talk about like the most satisfying form of bullion to stack, I would probably say either a 10-ounce bar or a kilo bar. 100-ouncers are a little big. I'm always afraid I'm going to drop those things on my toes and like lose a toe. You got to wear closed-toed shoes when you're handling 100-ounce bars, I think. But yeah, the 1, 5, and 10-ounce bars. Bars are just awesome. I mean, if you're like actually physically stacking things up, there's very little that's more satisfying than stacking up bars. They just stack up so nicely. Like, let's see, these little guys here on the right, those are those 2-ounce Monarch Precious Metals 2-ounce bars. I picked up a couple of those the other day, and I think they're really cool. I like them. I like these hand-poured bars. They stack up nicely. See, HVAC says, I think bars are good for after SHTF to rebuild personal wealth. Yeah, if we get SHTF, I really do think that people will revert probably to precious metals as a currency. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's probably a low probability that that happens in our lifetime. But I wouldn't say it's zero probability either. You guys saw that Facebook outage the other day. Facebook, the whole ecosystem was down for 6 hours. And yeah, that was pretty damaging to the Facebook share price. And you can just imagine if something like that happened with, say, your bank or your online mortgage brokers, or if there was, say, some kind of a cyber attack, people would definitely be freaking out if they thought all of their electronic wealth was at risk. And that is, everybody's got all these assets that have gone up in value, but they're just electronic. It's just ones and zeros. It's so crazy. I mean, the whole thing is just held together by confidence, and it's confidence in this kind of ramshackle, rickety monetary system that the Fed is, plowing right ahead with. And so I really like the idea of just having some wealth outside of that in my physical possession. And yeah, if there is some kind of a reset or something like that, then yeah, physical precious metals, I mean, you'll still have them. So you might be the only one with wealth. Now, if there was some kind of a catastrophic financial episode, and all these people with precious metals are saying, "Oh, I'm gonna rebuild with my wealth," don't be fooled. They probably would come and try and confiscate them if things were bad for everybody else. All they got to do is get the mob on their side. So you might want to have your story about a boating accident planned, or have some cache out in the woods where you can hide your precious metals. I remember reading a story about the Chinese Communist Revolution and how peasants out in the countryside, I think this was in like the late 40s or early 50s, when they were they were collectivizing farmland, and they would just round up these landlords out in the countryside, and they'd just murder them, a bunch of peasants, and they would force them to, I remember reading one story about this landlord who was forced to dig up his bag of silver dollars and give it to the peasants, and then they killed him. It's pretty frightening stuff, and you start hearing stories from history like that. So you got to be ready for anything. Anybody who thinks that that sort of thing can't happen anywhere in the world is, in a little bit of denial, I think, because history shows us that things can go from 0 to 60 in terms of craziness real fast, and you just got to be prepared. You got to know what's up. Now, those landlords probably weren't armed, I would imagine, so that's something to keep in mind too. If there is a computer chip shortage, that could be bad. Yeah, there is a computer chip shortage. I mean, there's a shortage of a lot of stuff going on right now, but yeah, computer chips is one of them. I went fishing last week. I had my silver with me. The boat sunk. Dang my bad luck. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's physically in your possession. Haha, go ahead and kill me, but you're not getting my silver. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'd probably hand over my silver if I thought I could avoid being murdered by a mob, but, um, if you're at the point where you're having to hand over your silver to avoid being murdered by a mob, you're probably just getting killed anyway. That's why I only spend cash when I add to the stack. No one has a clue what's in my pot of treasures. Yeah, Finch, that's awesome, man. If you really want to be anonymous, go to your local coin shop and pay with cash. I kind of wish that I had done that all throughout my time, but of course, I'm making YouTube videos about this stuff, so it's not like I'm being real anonymous. Um, but yeah, if you want to have no record of you buying silver, then I would say go to your local coin shop, spend cash. Make sure you get a receipt. Get a receipt. So if you need to figure out your basis for paying taxes in the future, because even though you want to be anonymous with your metals, I would still again, none of this is advice, but I would say it's probably the wise decision if you sell to pay your capital gains tax and all that. You don't want to get on the wrong side of the IRS. Definitely pay your taxes. But paying cash, not a bad idea, just so you're not in some precious metals database, because you never know what could happen in the future or how that information might be used. Okay, so what else we got? Yeah, the debt ceiling, they bumped that up. Let's just see what's going on over at Kitco. See if they got any news. Gold loses early price gains. Yeah, gold price is pushing higher following another disappointing employment report. 194,000 jobs created in September. All right. So let's see. Gold's a little bit higher. Silver's up a little bit. Gold, silver, and platinum continue consolidation. Let's see. Bullish momentum takes Bitcoin to 55K. Yeah, cryptos, they've recovered nicely. Cryptos are higher. It's funny. I had somebody comment the other day. Imagine how much money you'd have if you had bought crypto. Yeah, imagine. I didn't say I hadn't bought crypto. I do hold a little bit, and I think I'm in the green on it. But um, looking back on things like that, imagine if you'd bought crypto instead of silver. Well, yeah, of course. Imagine if you went back to March 2020 and you just bought a bunch of short-term, out-of-the-money call options on silver. You'd have a ton of money if you'd done that too. Hindsight is always 2020. Um, but I don't know. Cryptos have just. I like the idea. They've just gone up so much that I feel like they might be kind of overvalued at the moment, kind of in bubble territory. Whereas silver, silver's done almost nothing since 2011. It's less than half the price of its 2011 high. So I just feel like silver's so undervalued that I'd rather be buying something that's really cheap instead of something that's already moved so much higher. I feel like crypto is really, really speculation. Um, if they come to get my silver, I will tell them I cashed out to pay for the higher bills I have, like food and water and gas. Well, that might not even be a lie at that point, right? If gas goes up to $100 a gallon, you might have to sell some silver just to get to work. Let's see, just got news that 140 countries agreed to set a minimum tax rate. Global tax for crypto, yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Global taxes, that's scary stuff. Sort of like, let's just eliminate all safe harbors. Every exchange is a taxable event. Crypto just died. Well, I'm pretty sure that that's been the case for a while. If you actually look at the rules for crypto tax, like anytime you exchange crypto for fiat, that's a taxable event. Anytime you exchange one for another crypto, you got to figure out your cost base. That's a taxable event. So, yeah, figuring out your taxes for crypto, it can be kind of a nightmare, I think. Silver and ISO cryptos. ISO will be our new financial system. Okay. Yeah, Mobius one. Okay, I don't know what that is. ISO 20022. Please elaborate in the chat if you want. If I sell silver, it is turned into law enforcement. If I sell junk silver, it is not turned into law enforcement. Morgan dollars for the win. Tobacco Row. Yeah, there. Yeah, if you sell legal tender coins, there is some kind of a different tax reporting requirement. Now, even though they're not reporting it, I would still suggest you pay your taxes on any gains. But yeah, the reporting requirements are different, so I guess that's good to know. You don't want the IRS coming after you, and it's sad that we live in a world where that's the case. But you don't want to wind up with you don't want to wind up like Peter Schiff's dad, you know, rotting in prison and dying there because of problems with your taxes. I would recommend complying with tax laws because, you know, they got all these guys with guns who will make sure that you comply if you try not to. So I think it's a wise decision to pay your taxes. Uh, anyway, real cheery subjects, I know. Uh, Sometimes you just got to laugh, right, guys? You got to look at the lighter side of life because we live in just crazy times. So I don't know. I try to not take things too seriously. My water bill doubled last month. It's just my wife and I. Why? I don't know, man. That's nuts. Maybe they're putting some new fees or something. I mean, maybe you can look at a breakdown of your bill. You know, that's funny. That reminds me of a story. When I was in college, I had a apartment, and when I was moving out, my last month's utility bill, I got a water bill that was like $800. And I don't know, after I moved out, I guess that the apartment complex had tapped into the water from my unit and had been using it to like pressure wash all of the property or something. So the had to call the utility company and have them get in contact with the property, and they figured it out eventually. But yeah, speaking of high utility bills, just a little story. Ideally, I will trade my silver for land, less taxes. Yeah, I would say that a good exit strategy for silver, I mean, you know, I can't tell the future, obviously, but something along the lines of selling when silver is higher in value relative to other assets, because, you know, right now it's historically very cheap to other assets like gold or, say, the S&P 500 or any of those things. And I expect there will be some kind of mean reversion event at some point in the future. You know, no asset stays suppressed forever. And a lot of people will say that silver is being held down by manipulators. I misspelled J.P. Morgan here, but you know, there is manipulation. J.P. Morgan was forced to pay almost $1 billion for manipulating the precious metals market last year. So it's not like there isn't manipulation, but I think to the extent that there is manipulation holding the price of precious metals down, it's just going to mean that when the manipulation ends and when the unsustainable manipulation is forced to end, that the price of silver will move that much higher. Because, you know, one of the consequences of holding down the price of an asset is that less of that asset is going to get produced as a result, because there are mines that would be profitable at a higher silver price, but they just aren't at the current silver prices, etc. And eventually, if you hold the price of an asset down for too long, there could become a shortage in that asset, and that's when you're going to see that mean reversion. You know, the longer and lower you've held the price down, the higher it's going to shoot when it corrects. It's sort of like holding a balloon underwater. When you let it go, the further down you go and the harder you hold it under, the higher it's going to shoot up when you let it go. And I think that that's probably what we'll end up seeing with the price of precious metals. When? I don't know. I'm not a genius. I can't predict the future. I don't think anybody really can. But that's why I'm just kind of stacking and dollar cost averaging. Let's see. Tobacco Rose says it's not taxes. All scrap metal here sold to a dealer requires a law enforcement report. You have to show ID. Even the water heater I sold to the junkyard the other day required an ID. Yeah, they probably do that because, you know, theft. They're trying to make sure that people aren't stealing air conditioners and then turning them into the recycling plant. Congrats on live streaming. Thanks, John Runyon. Appreciate you watching. Let's see. Mobius one says ISO 20022 cryptos have real use case, utility, and adoption by institutions and banks. They have a much better future than Dogecoin and the like. Yeah, well, I don't think you're setting the bar real high by saying they have a better future than Dogecoin. I would say everything probably has a better future than Dogecoin. I'd rather invest in like hamburger meat, personally. At least I can eat that. If you want to go to the crypto route, silver is my wealth insurance. Yeah, silver is definitely like an insurance policy, a savings account. I don't think you're going to get super rich buying physical silver bullion, but you might preserve your wealth beyond some kind of a reset. Now, if you want to get more speculative, you know, there's always mining stocks, which I think have a much higher potential for return than physical bullion. But the physical bullion component is like the insurance policy. You know, there's no counterparty risk. You don't have to worry about it. It'll still be valuable 1,000 years from now. It's going to definitely outlive any of us stackers. Can leave that for our descendants. So yeah, silver is good for the long term. Um, Speaking of having to protect your stuff from scrap metal thieves, I've mentioned before in some videos I have some family members in Venezuela. These are really like in-laws. Um, but one of my in-laws in Venezuela is an older lady, and I've kind of told the story before. Lunchtime is over. Great midday stream. Y'all stack safe. See you in chat somewhere this weekend. See you, HVAC. Have a great day, man. Appreciate you watching. So she had she had an air conditioner unit on her house, and she had kind of like a big house, like a boarding house in Venezuela, and she rented it out to university students, rented out the rooms, and people kept stealing her air conditioning. I mean, it's still an ongoing problem. I don't know if she has one right now, but her first one got stolen when all their hyperinflation stuff started. And then she got a new one installed with like a big metal cage over it, and somebody came through and like cut through that with a sawzall and a welder, and they took the new unit too. So, if we do experience massive inflation here, hyperinflation, you guys got to make sure you have things in place to protect yourself against theft and all of that as well, because when an economy gets destroyed, people become desperate and you start seeing more and more of things like that. So make sure that you have some plans in place to defend yourself and to protect yourself against theft. Don't be necessarily relying on the powers that be to protect you. Um, I'll never understand the crypto craze. Too risky for me. I've worked too hard and too long to gamble away what I have. Yeah, yeah, Silvara. I would say crypto, especially at this point, is definitely gambling. If you've got a little bit of the gambler in you, you might want to pick some up. I think that it's probably a better alternative to fiat, but it's just so hard to know what's going to go on with crypto. I mean, the stuff is so volatile. If you're thinking of getting into crypto, again, none of this is financial advice, but I'd probably wait for a pullback off of this $55,000 level. But I say that, and then tomorrow Bitcoin will be like 100 grand. So very difficult to know what to do with crypto. I mean, it does seem to always recover from these big drops, but that's sort of the danger, is that one of these days it might not. So you do have to be very careful. I would say that anything put into crypto has got to be money that you are willing to lose. Um, Tobacco Rose says, yep, it is for theft and bullion is included, but constitutional requires no ID to sell. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's probably because it's legal tender. Um, Maybe they're not allowed to require you to show ID for that, or just doesn't fall into that category. I don't know. Um, Depends on your local jurisdiction, I guess. But yeah, if that is the case where you live, then I mean, obviously that's a big advantage to holding 90% silver if they don't give you as hard a time about selling it. HVAC says, it's a little sad, but I like to see air conditioners get stolen. It's good for business. Yeah, yeah. If you're in the business of installing air conditioners, then, maybe inflation will be really good for your business as people get their copper stolen. That's funny. But it is true. I mean, every transaction like that's got a winner and a loser. That's like if you read that Glazer's Tale by Bastiat, it's a critique of the idea that destroying a window is good for the economy because, yeah, the glazer, the guy who comes and fixes your window, does benefit, but there's like the opportunity cost of the money that the guy whose window was broken, he could have spent that on something different. So, but yeah, I take your point. That's funny, HVAC. I'm sure, may many air conditioners in your area be stolen. I wish you much prosperity in business. Um, Anyway, nice to have a little levity when talking about these subjects. You have to because some of the stuff going on in the world is just so freaking depressing and crazy, and you see our country being driven into the ground by politicians, and you see our monetary system being eviscerated by bankers, and you just have to kind of focus on the stuff that really matters in your own life, and do what you can to protect yourself financially. Um, So humor, I think, in the face of adversity is definitely something valuable that we can all benefit from. You can't take things too seriously because you'll drive yourself nuts. Okay, guys. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this first live stream. Maybe I'll get back on and do one later tonight. I imagine on a Friday night, probably there will be even more people available to tune in. For all of you guys who did tune into my first live stream here, I really appreciate it. Awesome chatting with you guys. And make sure you go check out those polls on the Smart Silver Stacker YouTube page. You can go to the YouTube page here and you can click this little community tab, and that's going to pull up any of these polls. So I'll be doing a video probably next week about this one, if you could stack only one. And if you watched the video I put out yesterday, I did read a bunch of the comments that were on the poll. So go over there and leave me a comment and vote on this poll. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'd love to feature your comments in my next video about the polls. And it was a nice chat, Tree Climber. Thank you very much. The enslavement of Western civilization. Cheers from UK. Well, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think about this live stream in the comments. If you have any suggestions for future live streams, let me know. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, but I think this was pretty successful. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you like this live stream, I imagine only my subscribers see the notifications, but if you're not subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, all that stuff, and I will catch you guys next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.